Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the TOEFL study plan, session number 2, reading. Thank you for joining us. Much obliged. Much obliged. How's everyone doing right now? Raghav says good night. Good night to you as well. Good, great, good. Okay, great. So let's talk about what we've done so far. So clearly, we have done session number 1, reading, because this is session number 2. We also did the session number 1 homework review. We did that this morning, so that was very interesting. It's already up on the site. This class will also have a session 2 reading homework review. I believe that's on Thursday, so hopefully you can make that as well. Make sure you do the homework. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it, everybody. So remember what we talked about in the first reading session number 1 is that there is a wrong way and a right way to do the reading. At least that's my hypothesis. Any volunteers? What's the mistake? What's the correct way? We talked about this in reading session 1. Let's go to Dimini. Hey, Dimini, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Greg. Good morning.
Morning.
So the mistake that we do is that while reading the passage, we focus so much on small details, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should have a overall view what the passage is all about, keeping our notes that where we can come back and find the small details if the question is asking for something like that.
Definitely. Also, there's a distinction between what we call passive reading and active reading. Can you tell us a little bit about that distinction?
Not sure of that, Greg.
Okay, no worries. I can take another volunteer. Anyone want to talk about the distinction between passive and active reading? Let's go to Varsha. Hey, Varsha.
Hi, Greg.
Hey.
So, what I understand is active reading is like just paying attention how the paragraph is written and connected, like sort of the main idea. And then
Yeah,
passive
sure.
reading,
Like you're busy, right? You're doing something,
right,
right?
right,
You're
just
at, yeah, you're engaging in some kind of behavior. What about passive
right.
reading?
Passive reading is just like skimming the paragraph, just not looking at the details, just just going through the overviewing something in
Mm-hmm.
the passage.
So remember, it's actually a little bit different. Passive reading is when you actually are reading every word. You are.
Oh,
But
okay,
you're not really absorbing it. You're not really doing anything with it. You're merely just pronouncing the words.
okay.
Do you remember, like in elementary school or junior high, your teacher asked you to read something out loud? How did you read it?
Yeah, I remember you gave me the example in the morning.
It's just word by
Yeah,
word,
it's
right?
like
You just read it
you
word
read
by
it
word.
word by word.
Yeah, but you don't actually understand what you're reading, right? You're just kind
Right.
of
You can't
pronouncing
make
words.
anything out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really the difference, everybody, between passive reading and active reading. So the mistake is you're just reading word by word, you're not really doing anything. Whereas the correct way to read is you're actually doing something. And typically, what you're doing are skills. Remember, we talked about this in reading session number 1. Each one of these questions tests a skill. Now, there is some overlap. So, in session number 1, we talked about these two questions right here, passage summary and detail factual. And the skills that are being tested is determining paragraph main idea for the summary. And for the factual, it's testing something called scanning, which means finding information very quickly. It's also testing your ability to rephrase and simplify a sentence. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about these 3 questions. Number 1 is vocabulary, number 2 is sentence addition, and number 3 is going to be author's purpose. So as you can see, we're making pretty good progress here on the question types, even in the second reading session. What skills are being covered with vocabulary, vocabulary knowledge, guessing meaning through context? We'll talk about that a little bit. With sentence addition, the skills that are being tested is understanding sentence flow. Essentially, what that means is the order first this, then this, then this, and it has to all be logical. And then finally, author's purpose, it's testing the ability to scanning, again, finding information quickly, but also doing something called determining sentence function. All right. We do have some other question types. We talked about this in session number 1. I won't really review this here. If you're interested in that, go to session number 1. If we go in terms of quantity, so the vocabulary questions, you're going to have 1 to 2 of those. Sentence addition, just 1 of those per passage. Author's purpose, 1 to 2 per passage. Remember, there's only a total of 10 questions. So they can't exactly throw a million vocabulary words in there. Yeah, do we have any questions before we dive into this? Before we go to first to vocabulary, then sentence addition, then author's purpose? Question from Domini. Hey, Domini.
Uh, for TOEFL, Greg, do we need to go through as much as vocab that we need to focus for GRE, or we have a different set of vocabulary list that we need to go through for TOEFL?
It's a good question. It's a good question. So you will see a little bit of overlap, but I would say an easy GRE word is a difficult is a difficult TOEFL word. So what I mean by that is you might see a word on the TOEFL list that you also see on the GRE list, but on the GRE list it's going to be quite easy, whereas on the TOEFL it's going to be quite hard. So to be honest, they are quite different, the list, but there is a little bit of overlap.
So we don't need to follow a different vocab list for TOEFL, or preparing for GRE will be enough for preparing for TOEFL, considering the vocab part.
So you definitely need to follow a different vocab list for TOEFL. We've already talked about 4 groups. So if you go to the TOEFL study plan on the website, you'll see groups 1 through 4. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Let's go to ABS. What's up, ABS?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning, morning. How can I help you, sir?
So, could you explain for me sentence addition? What is sentence addition?
Yeah, so sentence addition is when you have a paragraph and then they give you a new sentence, a new bolded sentence. And what they ask you to do is to put that sentence inside the paragraph in the correct location. We're going to definitely talk about it. You'll see some examples and stuff.
Okay, got it. Thank
Yep.
you.
Let's dive into it, everybody. Vocab in context. Why did I put in context in quotes? Anybody know? Whenever you put something in quotes, what can that mean, Andrea?
It means that it has to not be not the definition itself, but sometimes it has to be related to the sentence.
So if that was true, would I put it in quotes or not put it in quotes?
You would put it in quotes.
So what if I say to you, Bob is happy, and I put happy in quotes? Is he really
That's a
happy?
lie. No,
Yeah.
that's not true.
So everyone, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of TOEFL secret. They say you need context to answer these questions. That is a bunch of bull dookie. That is not true. You do not need context. This is not like the GRE. So the true skill that is being tested is vocab knowledge, everybody. This is the true skill that is being tested. You do not need to use the context unless you don't know the word. So I repeat that. You do not have to use the context unless you legitimately do not know the word. Now, this is a very good thing because if you know the word, how many seconds would it take to answer the question? 2 seconds. That's it. All right, I got it. Okay. So if you were familiar with the old version of the TOEFL, these questions used to be a lot more common. So for example, here's an example of what a vocab question looks like. And remember, these questions can be done very, very quickly, so you can just completely ignore the passage. You don't even have to worry about the passage. So GRE fans, what does mitigate mean? Does it mean eliminate, ignore, worsen, or lessen? The correct answer is D, lessen, right there. That's it. Boom, you're done. It's that fast. Okay? Now, like I said, the old version of the TOEFL used to have 3 to 4 vocab questions per reading passage. Now, this was amazing because each one of these can be answered in like 5 seconds and you can knock out 4 questions like that fast. Boom, 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 boom. So go ahead and answer these 4 questions. Again, you don't need any context whatsoever. If you are familiar with the word or the phrase, it should be easy. So everyone take about 30 seconds or a minute and then I'll take a volunteer. Let's go to Shrey. Hey, Shrey, what does inhibits mean?
Hi, Greg.
Hey.
So, inhibit means restricts.
Very good. How about rebound?
Rebound means recovery.
Very good. How about in the same breath? If you say something in the same breath, what does that mean?
Continuously.
Continuously. If I say,
Violently.
if I say something in the same breath,
Oh,
would that?
immediately.
Yeah, I'm thinking immediately is what I'm thinking, but I'll double check that. I'll double check that. It's clearly not going to be humorlessly or impatiently. How about indefinite period?
Whose end has not been determined.
Now, notice here, even if we get this one wrong, which is possible, it's possible that we maybe make a mistake. In terms of time, how much time did all this take?
10 seconds.
Yeah, it's super fast. It's super fast. So the bad news is the TOEFL doesn't really have a whole bunch of vocabulary questions anymore. They still exist. And the ones that you do come across, you can answer very quickly. Okay, let me look up the meaning of in the same breath. In the same breath meaning. Yeah, that means at the same time. So if I had to choose one, I would probably choose... Yeah, immediately. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Even if we got that wrong, like I said, we can still get it done in about 5 or 10 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so here's another example, everybody. This is from another old TOEFL passage before they went to 10 questions. So let's just do this together. What does marked mean? If you have, for example, a marked displeasure, he had a marked displeasure, what would that mean? That's going to be A, considerable. How about principle, the principal reason why you do something? Principal reason why you do something, it's going to be A, major again. Now, I want you to imagine that we don't know the meaning of trappings. So whenever this happens, you do have to use context, okay? So it's same thing with in the breath of. So let's imagine we didn't know between continuously or immediately. We would have no choice but to use context. So I do want to show you what that looks like because like I said, you might have to do it on the real TOEFL. Okay, so everyone, here's the context. So the sentence says, the paintings rest on bare walls with no backdrops or environmental trappings. Any volunteers, what is the context in this sentence that allows me to figure out what the word trappings means? Any volunteers? Varsha, what's up, Varsha?
Hi, Greg.
Hey.
So what I can understand is it's conditions.
No, remember, we don't care about the answer.
Okay.
So whenever we use context, what do we have to look at? Let's imagine we don't know the meaning of trappings, like we're just completely confused. So in this case, we have no choice but to do what?
To read the passage or to read the line.
To go to the line and look for some kind of clue, right?
Right.
So what clue do you see there?
The painting rests on the walls with no backdrop or environmental. The bare walls.
I agree, exactly. And what does bare walls mean?
Bare means like there's literally nothing.
Yep, nothing on the wall, right?
Nothing on the wall, yeah.
So there are no conditions on the wall. Does that make sense?
No.
No problems on the wall. Does that make sense?
Then it will be decoration.
It's decorations right there.
Decorations.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So like I said, to recap, if you know the vocabulary word, you can answer it in like 2 seconds. If you don't know the vocabulary word, you have to use context, no choice. Sometimes the context is more helpful than other times. But the key is, do you want to be spending a lot of time on these questions, even if you don't know the word? No. You want to be moving pretty quickly through these questions, and it's also why we study vocabulary. Now, it's true, on the real version, the new version of the TOEFL, vocabulary questions are not that common. But sometimes you get 2 of them, like back to back. So really quickly, everybody, profound. What does profound match with? What do we got? Would it be fascinating, far-reaching, necessary, or temporary? It's going to be far reaching. How about ritual? What does ritual match with, everybody? Okay, ceremonial. Now, you might think if there's only one vocabulary question, maybe two per passage, is studying vocabulary a waste of time? What do we think? Is studying vocabulary a waste of time? Clearly, it isn't, and I want to show you why. So, this is a question that comes from a TOEFL reading passage from the free TOEFL IBT reading practice questions. You'll notice that there's actually a lot of vocab words in these questions that you have to know. I just want to point a couple of them out to you. You have to know the meaning of doubt. You have to know the meaning of independently. You have to know the meaning of cultivated. You have to know the meaning of domesticate. You have to know the meaning of native. And notice if you don't know these words, it's going to be quite difficult to do these vocab or to do these questions that are not really vocab questions, but kind of are. They kind of are. It's even worse in the passages. So take a look at this passage, everybody. I want you to read this passage, and I want you to identify vocabulary words that are academic, that would help you understand what this passage is saying. So if you did not actually recognize these words or know these words, you would have more trouble. And keep in mind, I want you to avoid words like, where is it? How about, where is it? This word. Do we need to know the word millet or sorghum? Do we need to know these words? What do we know? The answer is no, because are these words likely to appear in other TOEFL reading passages? No way. No way. Okay. All right, everyone. Read this passage. See if you can identify those academic words that we need to know, that we need to study. I'll give you about 2 minutes or so, and then I'll take a volunteer. Let's go to Suvajit. Hey, Suvajit, what words did you identify that would be helpful here?
Yes, Greg. I identified scattered.
I got that as well. Scattered.
Yeah, scattered. And I also identified concentrations.
I got secure
Secure.
and concentrations. I got concentrations as well.
Okay. And then I got domesticated.
Oh, I agree with
Or
you, but
just-
no, I agree with you, but I had that one before. Remember, I had that one before.
Oh.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I got demonstrated repetitiveness.
Demonstrated. Where is that? Demonstrated. Yep, right there. Yeah,
The next
demonstrated.
line
But you missed diffused.
is diffused. Yeah.
Yeah, diffused is going to be a good one as well. But yeah, demonstrated
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
What else?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got.
Oh, no
rid
worries,
of
no
that
worries.
issue.
This is kind of a subjective
Yeah.
thing. It's not like there's a clearly right answer. Did you get any other words?
Yeah, receptiveness.
I got that one as well. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. Then domesticated, demonstrated. You got it previously, so yeah. I
Yeah. Did
haven't
you
got
get
any more.
proposed? Did you get proposed?
Oh
Right
no,
there.
no, I just.
Yeah.
I skipped it. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Like I said, this is kind of a subjective process. What I'm trying to show everybody is that we have to study vocab even if there's not a lot of vocab questions. So we have also the word extends, we have that one as well, and we have the word subsequently. So I hope that I have proven my point that even though there's not a lot of vocab questions, you still have to be studying vocab and you have to be quite diligent about it because it's going to carry over to the passages and to the questions themselves. All right, with that in mind, here are our 4 groups of vocabulary. So, as an exercise, I want you to be honest with yourself. Go through all 120 words. How many do you know? Because remember, it is important that we study vocab. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, and Group 4. 3 minutes. We're not going to take a volunteer or anything. This is more of an exercise for you, just to get a sense about how your vocab is. In theory, what percentage of these words should you know to do very well on the TOEFL reading? What do you think? I would say 95%. 95%, to be honest. Yeah. You have to take vocab pretty seriously. Yeah. Maybe not 95%, maybe 90%, but definitely not half. That's way too low. All right, 3 minutes. Remember, this is going to be more of a personal exercise just to get a sense of how many of these words you know. You will see that some of the words are also on the GRE list, but for the most part, these words are going to be a lot easier. Okay, 3 minutes. Okay, just as a general estimate, if you had to give a percentage, how many of these words did you know? 108 out of 20, 95, 100%, 90%. Nice. Okay, very good. If for whatever reason you don't know that many of them, no problem. Remember, we have a lot of resources in the study plan for you to practice these words. We have flashcards, example sentences. I'm gonna be adding quizzes as well, so for you to really get good at these words. Okay, we're about to talk about sentence addition, which is another question type. Does anybody have any questions about vocab before we move on? ABS has a question. Hey, ABS.
Hello, sir. My question is that how to know what is academic? The parameter that indicates what is academic.
So your question is, how do I know what? Say it one more time.
How do I know this is academic?
How do you know if it's an academic word? Okay, good question, good question. So that's a little bit of a subjective thing. But for me, there's two things I look at. So number one, it's going to be a word that is commonly written, but not necessarily spoken. So written, not spoken. Okay, so take for example, how many of you are using the word subsequently in your normal speech? How many of you are using the word diffused in your normal speech? My guess is quite rare, right? For example, would you use the word origin, or would you say, where does he come from? Would you say, where does he come from, or what is his origin? Hey, what is your origin, right? So that's going to be rule number one. Rule number two is, remember, it has to be used often. And I know this kind of seems like a paradox. It seems like contradictory statements, but it's really not. Would it be likely that you come across the word concentration in other academic passages? Or the word proposed, or the word extend, or the word subsequently? Yeah. So these are going to be very common words in other academic passages. So that's really the criteria that I use ABS to determine whether a word is going to be academic. Let's go to Andrea. Hey, Andrea, what's up?
Hi, Greg.
Hey.
One thing that I feel that is very important to mention is that sometimes, and I guess that's what I was trying to say in the very beginning when I meant in context.
Sure.
Because it happens where, like in the situation where you have in the same breath, sometimes you know that it means at the same time, but you don't see it there.
Sure.
So you have to think and analyze, and then you go back to the sentence.
Sure.
So that is where it gets complicated for me, because I have to pretty much guess.
Yeah. I would say, though, let's imagine you have 10 vocab questions, 10. How many of those could be answered with zero context whatsoever? I would probably say 9.
9?
Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean it's 9 for you. It might be 7 for you. It might be 8 for you. That's okay. But the key thing to remember is it's not going to be 2 or 3. I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah, in the vast majority of cases, you should be able to do the vocab questions with no context. Now, if you do want context, just make sure you don't spend too much time. You don't want to be spending like 2 minutes on it or anything like that.
That's right. Yeah. Super
Okay.
fast. Thank you.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and move on, everybody, to a different question type. This is going to be sentence addition. Now, what is the skill being tested here? It's what we call understanding cohesion. What it really means is the ability to recognize connections between sentences, sentences that come before, sentences that come after. You're going to have one of these per passage. So here we go, everybody. We're going to have the passage in question on the left and the process on the right. Please pay attention carefully. All right, so here we go. How do you even recognize a sentence addition question? They're quite easy, because they're going to give you the paragraph. You're going to see A, B, C, and D, and this bolded black sentence has to go in one of these points right here. Here comes the process, everybody. Step number 1. Read the bold sentence to be added. So let's go ahead and read it. In fact, artifacts and pottery from T have been discovered in sites as far away as the Mayan lowlands, the Guatemalan highlands, northern Mexico, and the Gulf Coast of Mexico. Great, we did it, everybody. Let's give ourselves a check mark. Awesome. Step number 2, look for any transition words. Can I take a volunteer? Does any volunteer see any transition words? Varsha, do you see a transition word?
I think it's in fact.
I agree with you. Can you tell us why that word is so important?
It is continuing the same information or some sort of evidence
So does it go before something or after something?
after something.
It goes after something. So the reason why the word in fact is so important is because it gives us a hint about the location. It has to go after something. Like Varsha said, it's continuing the idea, whatever that idea may be. Step number 3, everybody. Look for any pronouns. His, her, these, those, this, it. Do you see any pronouns? In the bolded sentence, do you see any I don't see any pronouns. Okay, so let's put a red X there. They're there sometimes, but in this case, I don't see any pronouns. That's okay. Step number 4, determine whether it's a general idea. Will an example follow? So what do I mean by this? Sometimes the bolded sentence is kind of a big idea. And what do you do after a big idea? You typically give an example. Does this look like a big idea? Does this look like something general? Any volunteers? What do we think? Any volunteers? Does this look like something general? Damini, does this look like something general to you?
No, for me, it seems like we are supporting an existing fact in the passage.
You mean an existing general idea is what you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
Post this board line, there is hardly a chance that we can provide an example.
Right. So would you be able to provide an example about this? It would be quite strange, right? It would be quite
No,
strange.
Yeah.
Awesome job. So I agree, everybody. I don't think this is a general idea. Now, step number 5. Does this look like a specific idea? Is it giving specific information? Any volunteers? Let's go to Suvajit. Suvajit, is this giving any specific information?
Yeah, it's supporting anything previously stated.
No, I mean, try to focus on the actual sentence itself. Does any part of it look very specific in the bolded sentence?
Yeah, it said that discovered inside as far as the main lowlands.
Yep, the Mayan lowlands, right? The Guatemalan highlands.
Highlands.
This is all very specific. These are very specific locations, everybody, which tells us that before this is going to be the general idea of location. The general idea of location. And then finally, you might think we're done. We're not actually done. Step number 6, everybody. Identify any areas where a new sentence cannot go. Remember, this is going to be important as well. I'll give you an example here. I want you to determine whether you can separate the sentence before A and the sentence after A. So think about that for 1 minute because it is important. So think if you can separate the sentence before A and the sentence after A. And if the answer is no, you cannot, tell me why. Let's go to Dina. What's up, Dina? Can we separate the sentence before A and after A?
No, we can't.
Can you tell me why? It's because of the it, exactly, right? You can't separate the it because what is the it connected to?
It connected the city.
Yeah, it's the city. It's this it right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you put it here, it's going to be very strange. It's going to be a very strange thing, right? Awesome job. Okay. Let's do that exercise one more time. What about B? Can you separate the sentence before B and the sentence after B? Or is there some kind of problem if you were to do that? So think about it for 1 minute and then I'll take a volunteer. Let's go to Akanksha. Hey, Akanksha, what do you think? Can we separate the sentence before B and after B?
No, I don't think so.
Can you tell me why?
Because we are still talking about the city, and like sentence before is talking about its structure and the markets and everything, and the sentence after is talking about the great metropolis. So I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at this. They have the word administrative center here, and they also have the word central control. Would you say that those two ideas are related?
Yes.
Yeah, so if we were to separate those two ideas, would that be a problem?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't just separate those two ideas with this, random bolded sentence. Okay, when we put all of that together, everybody, all of that information, we have eliminated A, we've eliminated B. We know that this is a specific example, which means before it must come something more general. Can I take a volunteer? What's the answer? Is it going to be C or D? Let's go to Andrea. What do you think?
Going to be D.
It's going to be D 100%. Can you tell me what the general idea is to the left?
Because it's before it talks about modern Central America and Mexico, and then after it talks about specific.
It actually says most parts of Mesoamerica, right?
Mm-hmm.
Parts as in plural, but not specific, right?
Right.
And then it gives part number 1, part number 2, part number 3, part number 4, right? Yep,
Correct.
exactly.
Mhm.
So the correct answer is going to be D, everybody. And then here's the process that you follow. Read the sentence, look for any transition words, look for any pronouns, determine whether it's a general idea, determine whether it's a specific idea, identify any areas where a new sentence cannot go. Before we try another example of this, does anybody have any questions about this one? Question from Subodh. What's up, Subodh?
Thanks, I'm good, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
Does moreover play any part in giving answer?
Well, so moreover is going to be connected. What moreover is doing is it's connecting the sentence before C and the sentence after C. It's connecting those two ideas. So moreover is playing a role. It's playing a role, like I said, in connecting the sentence before and the sentence after. Okay, question from Sabrina. Hey, Sabrina. Hey, you there? Hello? Okay, let's go to Dina. What's up, Dina?
No, I don't have any question.
All right, no worries. Let's go ahead and look at the other example, everybody. Here we go. So what I want you to do is go through this process together. Okay, number 1, go ahead and read the sentence. I'll give you about 20 seconds. Okay, number 2, do we see any transition words? Yeah, consequently, right there. So consequently, of course, is going to mean that this comes after something, right? Do we see any pronouns? Yeah, I don't see any pronouns, so that wouldn't be helpful. Does this seem like a general idea or a specific idea or neither? Specific? I mean, they're just saying that this idea cannot be accepted. To me, that doesn't really seem specific. That doesn't really seem general either. To me, I would probably not take that route. However, we can definitely eliminate any places where it doesn't go. And I'll give you an example. So everyone, take a look at A here. Take a look at A. Can we separate the sentence to the left and the sentence to the right? Any volunteers? Can we separate the sentence to the left? Suvajit, what do you think?
Yeah, correct. Because of the word these, we cannot separate.
Well, these calculations, right? And if you look to the left, does it
Yeah.
actually talk about calculations?
Yeah.
Yep. It says estimate right
Observed
there,
amount, estimate,
measuring right there. Exactly.
measuring,
Yeah. So we cannot separate these, everybody. You cannot separate these. Now here comes, you have to put your thinking cap on. You have to put your thinking cap on. Do we all agree that consequently means it comes after something? Do we all agree with that? Right? So now, whenever you say you cannot accept an idea, what comes before that sentence? Let's go to Domini. Domini, if I say I cannot accept your idea, what would I say before that?
Something about the idea, then only you will come with the contrast that that idea doesn't make any sense and hence you don't support it.
So again, let's think about this. If I say consequently, I cannot accept your idea, what did I say immediately before that? Did I say something good about your idea or something bad about it?
Bad.
I said something bad about it, right? I said there's a problem, okay?
Yeah.
So everybody, to do this one correctly, you have to look before and find some kind of problem. Some kind of problem with the evidence, or some kind of problem with the idea, or something like that. Now, remember, if you can't find it, that's okay, because you can still do number 6. You can still identify areas where it cannot go. You can basically say, I cannot separate these two sentences. It is not it is not possible. If you combine these two strategies, you should be able to land on the right answer. All right, think about it for about 30 seconds, and then I'll take a volunteer. Remember, we have already eliminated A. All right, let's go to Shrey. Hey, Shrey, what are you thinking? B, C, or D? And kind of walk us through the logic.
Yeah, so I am thinking the correct answer is C.
Okay, can you tell me why? So before that, do we have some kind of problem?
Yeah, so if you see before D, they have said these calculations suggest that about 1 million year would be required, and immediately in the next sentence, they are like denying this fact that however that it could not have taken 1 million years. So we have that negative statement.
It's a problem, right? Basically, it's saying, hey, there's something wrong with this evidence or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a result of which, we can put this statement from consequently. So C looks
very
like
good.
the right.
Now, remember, if that's confusing to you, you can always identify any areas where it cannot go. Let me show you what I mean here. If I say I cannot accept your idea, before that was a problem. What was probably after that? I cannot accept this idea. What do you think I would say after that? We need a new what? Your theory is wrong. We need a new theory. We need a new idea. And you'll notice right after C, which is the correct answer, by the way, does this say we need a new idea right here? It says we require a special explanation. Now, if any of you chose D, notice that this doesn't make sense, and I'll tell you why. Imagine if I said, we need a new idea, consequently, I cannot accept your idea. Do you see how the order is flipped? The order doesn't make sense, right? If I say, we need a special explanation, consequently, I cannot accept your idea, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So the correct answer is going to be C. Let's do one more of these. We're going to do one more of these, okay? Just do this one from scratch, all by yourself. Just follow these rules here. Okay. Good luck. And then take about maybe 90 seconds, and then I'll take a volunteer. All right, let's go to Andrea. Hey, Andrea. So, kind of walk me through the process here. Do you see any transition words?
I see thus.
Yep,
That means
thus.
oh, yeah.
So, what does that mean? One of these answer choices is definitely wrong.
Yeah, A.
A is definitely out.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Do you see any pronouns?
No.
Yep, I don't see any pronouns. Do you see any general ideas where they might be followed by something more specific or an example?
To me, this gives an example.
So you're saying this is an example.
Yes.
Okay, what part of it is very specific?
It's about the shape of the dome.
Does it say what shape it is?
No.
Does it say what chemical is there?
No.
So is this specific or general?
General.
Yeah, this is quite general. This is quite general. And after this sentence, it would it wouldn't talk about the shape because it says they had that already, but it might talk about some kind of chemical, right? Some kind of chemical composition or talk about what it's made of. Okay. Does that make sense or no?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
sometimes
also.
that part is it's a little hard for me to comprehend when it's a general or
Sure,
specific.
sure. Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, this is why we practice it, right? I mean, it is something that has to be practiced, right? So think about it this way. Can you give an example about the shape of something? Sure. Can you give the example about chemical composition? Sure, right? So do you see how these are kind of general things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I see.
Number 6, identify any areas where a new sentence cannot go. Any one of these you've eliminated?
I eliminated A, and then B I eliminated because it talks about the structure.
These structures, right? Which of course is connected to what before?
To the dome-like masses.
Very good. Yep, dome-like masses. So you can't separate that, right? You can't separate it because it would be quite strange, right? What about
Yes.
C or D? Which one of these can you eliminate and for what reason?
I chose D.
You say you
because
can eliminate D, or you chose it as the
no,
answer?
I chose it as the answer.
Okay, so let's actually see if this makes sense. So scientists had information about the shape of the domes, which means before this sentence has to be about the shape of the domes, right? Do you see anything about shape?
No.
No, right? If you look at the sentence after C, what does it talk about? Does it talk about maybe the chemical composition?
After C?
Yep. So let's imagine we choose answer
Yeah.
choice C. Does it talk about the chemical composition?
I see the part where it says so much solid crystalline salt.
Yep, there you go, right there.
Mhm.
And salt, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see that? So what's the correct answer?
C.
It's C. Yeah, it's C.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can even further justify that for you. So look before C, there has to be something about the shape, that they know the shape, right? So these structures had been detected right there. So that means we know the shape, but we don't know the chemical composition. Notice that matches, they never had been penetrated in the course of drilling. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the correct
Yeah, I
answer is
see
going to be C, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Makes sense? Cool. All right, we're going to move on to author's purpose questions. Does anybody have any questions about sentence addition questions? Let's go to Subodh. Hey, Subodh.
Hi, sir.
Hey.
Sir, I have a question. I am not getting from where option starts. That is from where A to where option A starts, B starts, C starts, and I don't know where is
Sure.
the option also.
So basically, what option A means is you take this bolded sentence and it goes right here. So this sentence would be after it. With B, this sentence would be before the bolded sentence. This would be after it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, everyone. We're going to talk about one more question type. It's author's purpose. So why did the author include that sentence? The main skill being tested here is identifying sentence function, kind of what the author's doing. And I want you to take a look at this quote, because I think this quote will really help you understand. Like a riverboat captain navigating the winding waters of the Mississippi, a good author steers each sentence with unerring intent, charting a course towards the treasure of a well-made point, and leaving no room for the flotsam of randomness to muddy the waters of their prose. If we want to rephrase this and simplify this, what it means is authors always do something for a purpose, and that purpose is to support a point. Okay, let's repeat that. Authors always do something for a purpose, and in the vast majority of cases, that is to support some kind of point. Let me show you what I mean here. Okay. So this is going to be what we call a function question or an author's purpose question. So step number one is identify it's an author's purpose question. Any volunteers? How do I know that this is an author's purpose question? Let's go to Dina. Hey, Dina.
In order to.
Yep. Everyone see this? In order to. The in order to indicates that that is going to be an author's purpose question, which means why is the author doing this? Okay. Number two, do a vertical verb scan. I need a volunteer. Let's go to Suvajit. Suvajit, what does explain why mean?
The question, means the reason.
Yep, it means give a reason.
Is there the reason?
Yep.
Give a reason.
What about give an example? What does that mean?
Means the passage might give a supporting example of the previous sentence.
You can't use the
Or
word
continuation.
example to give a definition of the word example.
Oh,
Yeah, right? Yeah, you can't say an example is an example. So what does that mean, give an example?
Support the previous stated idea.
With something specific, right?
Specific.
With something specific.
Yeah,
Okay.
something specific.
What about illustrate? What does that mean?
Saying something or or describing.
Nope. It means give an
Yes.
example.
Oh,
It does.
I see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
These are the
Yeah.
same. These are the same. Yep. Right there.
Okay. Okay.
And then finally, how about this one? Explain how. What does that mean?
Just means give the summary of it. How means
Not a
explain
summary.
or-
So summary would be like summarize or something like that. Anyone want to jump in here? What does explain how mean? Let's go to Varsha. Hey, Varsha, what do you think?
Explain how it means what is the reason behind the.
Yeah, give a reason. It means to give a reason. Now, let me show you why a vertical verb scan is sometimes very helpful. Everyone, if you take a look at the highlighted phrase, what do you see immediately after it? What do you see immediately after it? For example, so what two answer choices are 100% wrong immediately? What can we eliminate right off the bat? Yep, bye bye A and bye bye D. So the vertical verb scan is very powerful. It's a very powerful little technique, a very powerful little strategy. However, you have to know the meaning of these verbs. If you don't know the meaning of these verbs, you're going to be kind of in trouble. So make sure you actually study the meaning of these verbs and the differences between them. Okay. Step number 3, everybody. Read before the sentence and look for an idea. Remember, we don't really care about the highlighted part. We care about what idea it is supporting. So look to before this. Go ahead and read that for about 30 seconds and let me know if you see an idea there. Okay, let's go to Andrea. Andrea, do you see an idea in this blue highlighted sentence?
Yes, it talks about how the city of Teotihuacan is it thrives in many situations, in many areas.
I don't see that. Yeah, remember word of Zeus. Do you know what word of Zeus means? So word of Zeus means you can't really change the information here. So I don't really see anything about thriving in many areas. So you have to be very careful when you simplify this stuff that you're not changing the idea. Domini, what idea do you see in the blue highlighted part?
It is describing the picture and giving about the feedback, like.
What does it
basing-
say about the
basing on
feedback?
Something positive about
Yeah,
the
it's the
mining and working
positive
conditions.
feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is really the answer, everybody. This is really the answer. So it's a positive feedback between mining and working, trade, population growth, irrigation, and religious tourism. And to support that idea, the author gave this example. So the correct answer, I'll ask you, is the correct answer the blue part or the gray part? What do we think? It's the blue part. See, that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. They focus so much on the gray part. No, the correct answer is the blue part. Okay. Now, sometimes there's no idea before. In that case, you have to actually go after, but in this case, we don't have to. And then finally, we have to play the vocab matching game. So we have this idea of a positive feedback among obsidian mining, working, trade, population growth, irrigation, and religious tourism. Does that look more like B or does it look more like C? What do we think? It's going to be C right there. Can anybody tell me what vocabulary in C matches the vocabulary of positive feedback? Remember, this is what we call the vocab matching game. So, what vocabulary in C matches the vocabulary word positive feedback, Suvajit?
Yeah, it's influenced each other.
Exactly. Very good. Influenced each other. Awesome job. Well done. Can I take another volunteer? What vocabulary matches obsidian mining and working, trade, population growth, irrigation, religious tourism? Dina, what vocabulary matches that?
Factors.
Not just that, but several factors, right?
Several factors.
Yeah, several factors right there. Okay, cool. I mean, that's it. And clearly B took very little time. What are you talking about? Yeah, what are you talking about? Let's do another example. Here's another example. Okay. Step number 1, everybody. Identify it's an author's purpose question. Is this an author's purpose question? If so, how do I know? Any volunteers? Let's go to Subrina. Subrina, did you get your mic working? Subri. What's up?
Author mention, the author mention it indicate.
It's not actually author mention because that could be a factual question. There's actually another word here that indicates it's an author's purpose question. Akanksha, what do you think?
Why does the author mention?
Yeah, why? Why is the author doing this? Okay, very good. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is a vertical verb scan. Any volunteers for the vertical verb scan? We'll go through these one by one. You tell me the meaning. Let's go to Dina. Dina, what does it mean to argue?
Give an opinion.
Yep, to give an opinion. Very good. What does it mean to question?
To ask about something before, yeah?
No, it means to challenge.
To challenge.
Yeah, it's not like to ask a question. Yeah, in academic, it means to challenge something. Okay? To present examples, what does that mean?
To give the specific information.
Yes, specific information. Very good. And then finally, to support, what does that mean?
Evidence.
To say something good. To say something good, right?
Support.
Yeah. To provide strength to something, right? Okay. Very good. So, step number 3, everybody. Is it possible to read before this sentence to find out what the idea is? No. So what that means is we have to read after it. So here's what I want everybody to do. Read from here to here and try to find what point the author's trying to make with this example. Remember, you're not focusing on the highlighted part. You're actually focusing on all of this part. What is the point, even the main point, that this author is trying to make here? Take about a minute or so, and then I'll take a volunteer. Okay, take about 20 more seconds, and then I'll take a volunteer. Okay, let's go to Akanksha. Hey, Akanksha, what point do you think the author's making in this paragraph?
The author is trying to question, like there's this hypothesis stated that animals were. I mean, I chose answer B, but I'm not able to give a reason. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, so remember, we're not choosing the answer right now, but I think I agree with you. The point the author's trying to make in this paragraph is going to be right here. The hypothesis of a simple climatic change is insufficient to explain all the data. So, this is the reason why the author mentioned snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles was to support this attack on the hypothesis. So now we just have to play the vocab matching game, everybody. Which one of those is going to be the best answer? So let's go through these one by one. Is the author giving an opinion? Yes. Right? Check. That's an opinion. Is the author challenging something? Yep, challenging the hypothesis. Check. Is the main point to present examples? Is that the main point of this paragraph? I'm presenting examples. Everyone, no, that's out. Is the author supporting a hypothesis? Is the author supporting a hypothesis or challenging a hypothesis? Because notice the author says the hypothesis is insufficient right there. So that is going to be out as well. That is going to be out as well. So it's either going to be A or B. Which one do you think most closely matches that the hypothesis is insufficient? What do we think? Yeah, the correct answer, everybody, is going to be B. Correct answer is going to be B. Cool. Any questions about this, anybody? As we wrap up today's class, let's go to Varsha. Hey, Varsha.
Okay, so I have a question. Is there a way, like, I have to read the whole paragraph to find the answer, or I can just read like